Hello, and welcome to Jason Cabinet Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cabinets. I'm also CEO and founder of Cabinets HR. At Cabinets HR, we provide HR to companies with 49 or fewer people by providing a tech platform that automates HR while providing access to a dedicated HR business partner. Now, I want to welcome you to the Jason Cabinet Experience Ho Chi Minh City edition, powered by Earth VC. Earth VC is on a mission to unfuck the Earth. They're doing this by supporting breakthrough scientific research, empowering outlier founders to build enduring climate businesses, and investing in high-growth startups that decarbonize the world. Our guest today is Ken. Ken, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, so I'm doing extremely well. Thank you so much, Jason, for having me, and cool space. Welcome
Yes.
to Ho Chi Minh City
Yes.
as well.
I had a blast here. So I had a question real fast, right? So TED's coming up here. It's like, I understand TED is like American Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's times 10, right? What's the deal? And this is my ignorance. I keep on seeing like people burning, like having fires, like little pots and pans everywhere. What is that about?
So that's to pay respects to your ancestors.
Okay.
So there are three main days in the Tet holidays. Call it Mùng Một. So Tet, and then that's what they use spend with family. Then Mùng Hai, the second day, you spend with friends, and second day is relatives, and third day is for friends.
And what are they actually burning in there? Just random stuff? Or does it matter what they burn?
It does. So it's actually what you want to give in the afterlife.
Okay.
So they'll burn cars, they'll burn gold, they'll burn clothing. So what you want to give to your ancestors. So part of the tradition is what you burn will be received in the afterlife for your ancestors. And that's the main tradition.
Okay.
Yeah.
And more of my just ignorance, right? So I found by accident that 7% of people are like actually Roman Catholic, but as a majority of people like the Hindu, Buddhists, or like agnostic, or.
So I mean, on the religion side, even though if you look at the statistics, it shows that 70-something% are Catholics, but actually in reality, they're Buddhists.
Okay.
But it's just that before statistics, they didn't allow them to put Buddhists as much.
Okay.
But if you look outside and you talk to people, I'd say 7 out of 10 people are Buddhists.
That makes sense, yeah.
Right? And the temples are not as prevalent as the churches, but some of the provinces, temples are everywhere. So I think the numbers, just like other parts of Vietnam aspects, such as salaries, they're reported much lower or much different.
I just watched a video of yours yesterday where you talk about that challenge you had when you first got here. Like the labor law said the seller was this, you learn like quickly knows like 5-10 times more than that.
Correct. So you're always under budgeting because the media is controlled by the government. So therefore the statistics are slightly skewed. So Vietnam truly is actually, I would say 50% are Buddhists and 50% are Catholics and different denominations of Catholicism.
And are you still like an avid reader? Do you still do a lot of reading?
So if you don't count my legal reading for work and all that.
Like fun reading, so to speak.
Yeah, I would say I read a lot of news, economics, politics. But I used to love fictional reading a lot. I would say I don't spend enough time because in the evening I'm pretty much passed out. But I do need to get back. I used to love reading fiction, just get the mind away from the mundane world and just be away.
Do you have like a favorite book?
So back then I used to read Piers Anthony.
Okay.
Piers Anthony, The Mundane World, and then Centaurs. But a book, I would say, this kind of a shout out to my friend, Dr. Kimberly K. Wang. It's a little bit taboo, but actually the book is called Asian Ascendancy, Western Decline, and the Hidden Currencies of Global Sex Work. So really, she's an anthropologist at Berkeley to study how deals are done in Vietnam. And this was 10 years ago when I came here. I was like, how do you do business development? How do you take foreign clients out? So this book tells you the 4 different investor or types of people who come to Vietnam. I don't know how deeply you want to delve into it. I think it was an awesome book. I learned a lot about how sex work in Vietnam aided in the investments into the country in the last 20 years, and it still continues now.
So it's crazy. It's like, so I live in Seattle right now, and Seattle's like basically the same way. There's like books about how the sex work in Seattle helped like boost the economy there with all the people going through Seattle, go to Alaska for the gold rush and just all this stuff going on. Like, I think in any place in the world, like there's a sex work had some impact on it, right?
Yeah. So that's why you got the hidden currencies that you don't say out loud. But now, any foreign investor that comes in, for example, Japanese, Koreans, and you're trying to get their business, you need to entertain them, right? And then you can only go to so many omakase and go to bars. There's other stuff to it, right? They gotta like the country before they actually invest. So this book delves deep, and it's really a academic book. The terminologies, the studies. So Dr. Kimberly K. Wang worked in these places, karaoke bars, worked in beer pubs and nightclubs and all that in order to understand the mentality of these women and how they modified themselves mentally, physically, and also in their demeanor to attract these four main subtypes and groups.
Now, I've been like 60 days. One thing I've noticed, like in the States, people are still like doing meetings over Zoom, right? Like people meeting in person once probably still like a Zoom-centered culture, so to speak.
Yeah.
Vietnam, like no one meets on Zoom, right? It's always in person, coffee, beer. Was it always like that in Vietnam, like the one-on-one relationships?
Yeah, I mean, similar to China, I mean, Vietnam has a lot of roots in guangxi or relationships. So therefore, in-person meetings were always better. Also, Vietnam just really opened their economy in 1985. So you didn't trust any foreigners. You didn't trust anybody outside the family. So I mean, you're looking at about 40 years, but really 20 years of openness to global trade, foreign direct investment. So you always got to verify whether this person's legitimate by meeting them. However, I would say through COVID and going online, that people are a little bit more comfortable being able to meet online rather than just having to physically meet them, because it limits you. You can't physically meet everybody you want to do business around the world. You just can't physically do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey, and that's water. That water's for you too if you need some water.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I've said this in podcast before. Like, I don't think Vietnam gets enough credit for, like, I mean, a small country, relatively speaking, right, in size, whatever, population. They beat the French. They beat the Americans. They went to war, I think, with China, Cambodia in '79.
Yep.
But despite all that, like, where that now, like, I think they're decades above where people think they should be, right? Why do you think Vietnam's been so, quote unquote, successful despite all this hardship they've been through?
Great. So I would say one is a resilience. Definitely when you've been fighting for so long, we're talking about over 2,000 years, and different groups that have come in. The second one is resourcefulness. The Vietnamese, I mean, I come from a Vietnamese background, although I live in the States for a long time, is very resourceful, right? You work hard, you find food, you find ways to make ends meet. And of course, Vietnam has the luxury of the development of Singapore, Thailand, Indonesia, and other Southeast Asian countries to learn from so that they don't make the same mistakes, although you can avoid it. And then finally, I would say the government policies have been very open, signing many treaties and free trade agreements. Especially the most recent one is a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement with the U.S., but they also signed with China under the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreements. They also have an EU one as well, and they're working on one with Russia. So one thing that's great about Vietnam now is they know how to politically balance the big players or the global players and still maintain neutrality and still do business with them. So how could you have agreement with China and the U.S.?
Yeah, that's pretty smart. That's pretty good. So I've had a few people on the podcast say this. I want to get your opinion, right? A few people have said that they compare Vietnam now to where Japan and Korea, South Korea, like 20, 25 years ago. Do you think that's a good assessment?
I would say more towards Korea. And then in the 70s, they had the 4 Asian tigers. So you had South Korea, you have Taiwan, Singapore, and one other country, and Hong Kong, right, in the 70s that really grew as the Asian tigers. Japan is a little bit more developed. Korea has been in recent years. So I would say Vietnam is the next group of Asian tigers to really develop and grow. So I would say it's akin to more to Thailand, and then some to Korea in the nationalism, the focus on technology and education of the youth, and of course, the large population size.
So why do you think Vietnam is so set up for success versus Laos or Cambodia or any of those countries? Like, why do you think Vietnam's like taking advantage of the opportunity, so to speak?
Unfortunately, Cambodia, I mean, large part of the population and the educated population was wiped out, and you only have 15 million
doing the
people.
Pol Pot thing and stuff.
Correct. Yeah, in '79. So when you have a whole generation of educated folks being wiped out, it's hard to recover quickly, right? And then Laos is just such a small country, and they want to focus on happiness more so than economic development. The other one will be Thailand, right? Thailand has been developing since rest and relaxation after World War II. But it's gone to a saturation point where there's a little bit more focus on tourism without building really all the other industries, or it's a little bit too saturated. So Vietnam is in a great position. We call it kind of like the golden triangle period now. 70% under 35 years old, 50 under 30 years old, 100 million people. But in the next 10 to 20 years, it'll be another 20 million people, right? That the age want to give birth. And the Vietnamese believe in giving birth because they feel they have an abundance to take care. They're not the level where they're so developed and the cost is so high that you don't have children. So 100 million people, 50 of them become couples, 25 kids, 25 million children very easily. So then it would be number 8 or 7 in the world based on population size.
So since I've been here, like I just there's a vibe here. Like you just feel the energy, the entrepreneurship, the tech stuff, people starting businesses, people like trying to live their lives. Like, and like, has it always been like this in this country? Like always like this vibe here, like this like electricity, so to speak.
Yes, we consider kind of like the hustle culture, really hustle, making ends meet. I mean, I've only been coming here since 1999, but definitely since then, it's always been like that. But now the money is bigger. The foreign direct investment is bigger in GDP. I don't want to always speak about the positive side. In my videos, I also talk about the negative impacts of the hustle. You can get scammed any day, right? And many of these big scams come from big banks or real estate projects. So the hustle culture without verification leads to a lot of scams. Right? Because you can tell me about your hustle or any Vietnamese person. And if I don't go verified, I'll go tell somebody else and we're down the line in a whole Ponzi scheme. And all of a sudden everybody loses some money. So the energy is there, the youth is there, but they lack guidance, right? And they lack ways to verify information. How truthful is it? What the credibility is? Energy is there. I mean, I love it here. My staff are young. My students are young. I have a young family, so the energy is there, but you get a lot of misguidance. Yeah. So I would say, come for the energy, but stay for the long term.
Yeah, I've said this before. I wish there was a way I could stay up 24/7 here, right? Okay. Because always something going on. I don't care what time of the day we're at, there's something going on that you want to like, take part in or observe, like, yeah.
Yep. And, but of course, I mean, when I first came back, I felt the same thing. Right? I used to go out like 4 to 5 days a week. Each time you go out, you would meet somebody else and they'll pack. The Monday would be 2 people and off Saturday with 20, 30 people. And that's very normal for a metropolitan city. And I think a lot of people don't recognize the numbers of Ho Chi Minh City.
It's a big city.
I mean, it's like 13 million people.
It's not small.
LA is 10 million. Yeah. Well, San Francisco is only 1 million.
Yeah.
I think New York and the greater New York area is about 15, 16 million.
Yeah, I think the Seattle area was on like 2.1 million.
2.1 million, yeah. Smaller than Orange County, which has 3.4 million. And then Japan is about 20, or Tokyo is 20 million. So 13 is a lot, densely populated area. And there's so many opportunities with the growth. So many times I try to make people compare Ho Chi Minh or Saigon with LA, New York, Paris. You can't compare it to, I mean, Seattle's a small place.
Yeah, you can't compare to Seattle.
Right? It can't be America to Vietnam. Yeah, you're not comparing the right apples to oranges.
You can't compare to Seattle or Denver or Salt Lake City or St. Louis. Yeah, it's nowhere close.
Metropolitan.
New York City, Paris.
Young people mobilizing, doing all types of blockchain, AI, many things we don't even understand.
Yeah. We're going to learn that how big crypto is here. Like, it's huge here.
Right? At one time, I think Vietnam was still top 3, but at one time was #1 trading of crypto. And it's not even legal here. So that's hustle. Right? You find ways to go trade it.
I mean, speaking of hustle, I watched a video the other day, like you see, like where you see the pop-up barber shops, people start cutting hair, $2 a pop, that's hustling, right? I mean, that's all the people, the street side food,
Yeah. Or just a lady that has a bicycle and then she pops on a little cooker on the back and sells bao.
Yeah.
Or sells tofu.
Yeah.
right? And then she mobilized. That's like the food cart.
Yeah.
Without all the regulations.
Yeah, I've been eating a lot of street food. I've been lucky so far. I haven't got sick off street food yet, so I've been very lucky. I think I know a lot of people say they get sick off it once in a while, but I haven't been sick yet.
Good. You got an iron belly.
Yeah, I had to run the bathroom maybe 1 or 2 times, but yeah, yeah. And so you were actually born and raised in the U.S., right?
Actually, I was actually born in Vietnam.
Okay.
Yeah, in 1981. And then I left as a boat person in 1983.
Okay.
And then I was in refugee camps for 2 years, 2.5 or so. And then I came to U.S. when I was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and then raised in the U.S.
And you came back at what age?
I came back here in 2013. So 11 years ago, 31, 32-ish.
So why do so many Vietnam Americans decide to come back to Vietnam and make a life here versus stay in the U.S. or living like in both countries, so to speak?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen a ton of changes in the type of people that come back, and I'll break it down into 3 waves. So the first wave were the ones that are older, that went to America. They came back in the 90s, right? So about 30 years ago in the 90s. And they were the ones with using American dollars, a little bit of what we call no. But if you're familiar with that term, no is a bomb. So just talking shit or blowing up stuff and saying you're this and that, saying you're a multimillionaire, but you work in a factory in the US. So those were like my father's day when they came back. And just because $100 you could spend in a whole month and just do a lot of stuff. I would say about 15 years ago, it started changing as well. So the ones who made it are still here. The ones who didn't make it left. 15 years ago, when I started coming back a lot more, were still folks probably in their 40s, 50s, coming back doing business. And then 5 years ago, now it's just folks who are just out of university, 22, 23 years old, late 20s, early 30s, tired of corporate, working in Vietnam. And most recently, we had the Overseas Vietnamese Summit, 2nd year, and about 400 people. 80% of them were folks outside of Vietnam coming back.
That was the one done by I think it's called Vietcetera.
Yeah, Vietcetera and OV.
OV, yeah.
So Hao of Vietcetera, the CEO, is from America, young guy, he's like 32, 33. And then Quang is from Germany, the Overseas Vietnamese group. They have about 40,000 members. And so they organize it. He's about 33, 34. So they're getting younger and younger, more diversified, especially in technology. And now there's enough jobs and opportunities here that you can work here and have a pretty good standard of living. 2, you can raise your families here, education as well. And then also you can get back to your roots. Yeah. So I think before it's just, I'll come back to Vietnam to get back to my roots. But in reality, how long is that going to stain you if you're not making money? Yeah. Then after that, it's okay, I can make money. And then now I can have lifestyle. I can eat what I want. I can transportation, technology, Grab. All of this is creating a great ecosystem for Vietnamese overseas to come back. And there's actually desire by companies. There's a whole group called a program's a little bit funny, but it's called Come Home for Good program. And it's by Robert Walters, an HR company. They have a whole division to help overseas Vietnamese find jobs as overseas Vietnamese for companies. And the other group, OV Jobs as well. So you're actually having job placements targeted towards Vietnamese overseas due to their specific skill sets, right? And when you can make money, you have a pretty good lifestyle. And then if you can start a family or find your future mate here, that's just like living in LA or anywhere around the world.
Yeah. And are you still doing a lot of cycling and are you swimming?
So I still do swimming. I am going to pick back up cycling again because I was just talking to some triathletes about trying to get back in that physical mentality where I can ride 100 miles or a century ride every morning.
Should I get tired driving 10 miles? Much less on bicycles. Yeah.
No, but you got to I've met a few triathletes and trying to be able to get that. Yeah, as you get older.
And so that's how you take care of yourself, so to speak.
Yeah. Especially on the physical side, make sure the body's healthy. Yeah. So I'll get back, and I swim because I swim with my son and I swim with my family.
How often y'all go swimming together?
Probably about 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah. Our complex, there's a swimming pool,
Mhm.
but I'm not doing laps or anything.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
swimming, hanging out,
Yeah.
enjoying the water.
Having a good time.
Yep.
Family time, so to speak.
Family time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I play tennis and golf.
Okay.
So I do about 4 hours of tennis every weekend. Play with the buddies,
Mhm.
and then I do try to get out once a month now to a game, and then I try to do two days a week of golf practice, hit 100 balls. Yeah.
So I have to ask, like, how you do all this stuff, right? Like, you have your business, your consulting business, the bar, the networking stuff, and like most people, most people can't handle a 9 to 5 job, right?
Yeah.
Like they work 9 to 5, and they're trying to do that. You're doing all this other stuff, right? Is this a matter of prioritize what's important to you, or like I always say, like the more you do, the more you can do, right?
Yeah. I think time management. Time management, I think, is the biggest thing. Like literally, I wake up at 6 every single morning, Saturday and Sundays included. I play with my son in the morning, get him ready for school. 8 o'clock he goes to school. 8:30 I get to work. Then I work until 5:30. I have a lunch, like everybody else, 8 hours. Get home at 6 o'clock. At least five nights a week, where I can work and I can have dinner with my family, read to my son, put him to sleep. And then my workout time is actually 8:30 p.m. until 10 p.m. That's my workout time. You lose a lot of friends when you're in the evenings. I accepted it because you're like, the people do other stuff. And then I have the networking on Thursdays, which are my going out days, because I'm already at networking. And then I do the ladies' night event. Then on Saturday, what is considered like my free time, from 3 p.m. I do 2 hours of tennis. I do like maybe 1 hour of golf practice. Then I go out to the bar and I have a cigar and I chill and I greet my clients. And that's it. All right.
You make it sound so easy.
But I live by this rule. I hopefully it's effective for others. And I got it from my very good friend. It's the 40-20 or 40-30-20-10 rule. So 40% you spend on your family, 30% you spend on work to make money for your family, 20% you spend on your health to be healthy for your family, and then 10% of entertainment, things you do for yourself in order to balance the 90%. So I actually broke down the hours that I spend doing these things, and I got it down to a T exactly how many hours I do each of these activities to maintain that balance.
Can you talk a little bit about how, like, our still accounting in Vietnam is totally different, right? Like, I've heard like you do business here, don't try to do it with the states. Like, you got to hire a Vietnam accountant, right? Like how is accounting different here?
Sure. Hopefully, it's going to get closer and closer to international GAAP principles. Here are 3 prime examples, and I advise this every day. Is in the U.S., for example, when you use your business bank account, you just use your card. Everywhere you go, you slide your card, it goes to your bank account, it's all tracked in your statement, you deduct taxes, right? Here, you have to get a red invoice, which is attached to your ID. They went to digital, but before that, you had the vendor had to actually physically fill this paper out. It would take like 10 minutes after you finish with your meal that says this company has this tax ID, spent this much money itemized, and you have to hold on to that for 3 years to file your taxes. So tedious, right? And another loophole is anybody can pay and still get the tax invoice, right? Whereas US, you got to pay with your company card to get the invoices, but here anybody can pay. So that's a loophole in the tax. 2 is quarterly tax filings for everybody, regardless of income or gross income. 3 is any money that goes into your business bank account under the new rules has to be a wire transfer, for example, right? So some of those, and now over 20 million, you have to do Face ID. Like you literally have to show your face on the app before you can transfer $1,000. So with that said, it's just hard to understand the mentality if you're trying to do your own taxes in Vietnam. They have proposed to go to an international standard, like the GAAP principles, but it hasn't been adopted yet. But a few things that Vietnam has done that helps. One is going to digital invoices. So now you just give them information and then they'll send you an email and your accountant can keep track of that. That's probably one of the biggest things that helps with the tax deductions and then bookkeeping and accounting in Vietnam.
So why should a company in another country of the world, doesn't matter the country, why should a company in another country want to do business here in Vietnam?
Sure. So there are a couple of really good factors. One is the cost of labor, even though it's not as cheap as they think, but it's still relatively more inexpensive, especially the lower skilled jobs. For example, if you do high-end manufacturing, you can get about $150 per month, but in China it's about 320. So it's about half. Two is so we talk about workforce availability and the amount of work and that they do. Two is infrastructure development. There's growing infrastructure development that allows you to build and also export manufacturing in Vietnam. I think three is also lifestyle. I always say you can actually make good money here. It'll be less than you make in a developed country, but have a better lifestyle due to the cost, right? So those three are the three main factors. Also, you talk about government. Government's really pushing for foreign direct investment, making the laws easier, digitizing. We're talking about the invoices, the corporate seals, going online to make it easier to do business here. And then finally, there's so many gaps in the market, right? How do you get things to consumers? Apps, a lot of gaps, and that's where people make money by filling in the gap of what the market doesn't have. Ride sharing, for example, came in and beat out Uber, right? Grab beat out Uber. So can you imagine a Southeast Asian company
Grab's the freaking best.
base, right? Dominating the market now. It's a super app. But you're talking about even the other food apps as well. Many things to make people's lives easier are available in the West, but it costs a lot more there. And you bring it to 100 million people, you can make money.
Can you talk some about how you and your company are helping like companies come to Vietnam and be successful?
Sure. So we have, we're a global law firm and we provide corporate services and foreign direct investment services. So we help them set up their company, understanding the tax structure, employment agreements, hiring employees, how to fire employees, also acquisition of real estate in the Vietnamese market, from apartments to buildings to land. We also do their work permits, helping them with short-term and long-term immigration stays here, from investor visas to work permits to temporary residence card. And then for Vietnamese overseas or folks born here, we can actually get them Vietnamese citizenship as well, getting their Vietnam passports and their national IDs. So those are the main services that we provide for foreigners investing into Vietnam.
So like I'm on the regular 9-day visa here. Like how hard or easy is it for someone to get like a business visa or one of these other type of visas you're talking about?
So just a matter of money, of how you want to invest. So if you invest up to 3 billion VND to open up a company, then you can get a 1-year multiple entry visa and you can stay in Vietnam. The more you invest, the longer your stay. Two is you can also get if you're married to a Vietnamese citizen, you can get a temporary residence card based on marriage to a Vietnamese citizen. That's 3 years. If you work for a company, you can get a work permit, and that allows 2 to 3 years based on your employment contract. And then, of course, like I said, if you are Vietnamese overseas and you were born in Vietnam, regardless of the year, you can get a Vietnamese passport and then a national ID, which allows you to open up bank accounts, open up companies, own land and real estate, just like a Vietnamese citizen. So that's one big advantage, and that's one big reason why Vietnamese overseas are coming back.
So I don't know how true this is, but I want to say I remember either hearing or reading that the real estate market here is not doing too well. Is that true? Like how is the real estate market here right now?
So it's been in the crisis for roughly about 3 years now, about 36 months. With every risk, there's an opportunity. So it's not doing so well in the sense that the prices are dropping with the different asset classes, but it's doing well for the opportunities of you coming in to buy a property either an apartment, a condo, or a house at a lower price, right? The folks who took out mortgages are suffering now. It's about 24 months. And companies that took out loans in order to working capital and do business, they are also suffering. So they're willing to sell their assets. So if you have cash or you have fresh money coming in, there's a great opportunity for you. But if you're a citizen trying to hold on to your mortgage and paying your mortgage, you're having a difficult time. And it's due to the bigger picture issue of Miss Trung Mỹ Lan, the Bangtan fact.
I know you're talking about, yeah.
Right, so that big blow up, banks are getting tighter, consumers are distrusting the banks and the regulatory system. And then for a while, about 12 months ago, banks weren't even lending. They froze all consumer lending, right? Unless if you were rich already and you had properties, then you can get a loan, which doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And then your interest is 12%. So pretty much nobody borrowed. Now, at this stage in 2025, moving forward, I think in the next 6 months, there's opportunities to buy real estate. If you're willing to move further away and hold long term, you can buy land. But if you want a place like a second home or retirement, then you can do an apartment here in Ho Chi Minh City.
Besides where right now, Ho Chi Minh City, is there like a hot up and coming city in Vietnam that's like everyone's like moving to, like really popular right now, like the it city in Vietnam right now?
I would have to say Da Nang, Hoi An area. We just did a video. We did how to purchase a property in Da Nang, how to rent in Da Nang. And I went out there, met with a bunch of agents, met a bunch of companies. I think it's very exciting. One, the infrastructure is great. The roads are really nice. I have to give credit to the previous chairman of the People's Committee who did a lot. About 10 years ago, implemented many strategies for where it is now, including a hub for high tech, also for financial. And then, of course, better city planning to allow for a better lifestyle. The beaches are there. You got the mountains there. You have amazing food options. And then, of course, you can make money there. So those factors I would have to say, and it's still relatively cheaper, like 30% cheaper than Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh, right? So if you have lifestyle, exactly why they moved to Vietnam from America, now you're getting that same effect, but within country of Vietnam. I even have folks who just moved from Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi to Da Nang to live.
Nice.
And they've been here 10 years, 12 years. Like, hey, maybe I can establish a similar lifestyle in Da Nang. So there's a migration, just like California to Texas, of going to Ho Chi Minh to Da Nang. So I would say that's an upcoming city.
And you have offices in Orange County, California too, right?
Yes.
Were you affected by the fires or anything like that?
Fortunately, we were not affected by the fires, but Santa Ana winds is one of the causes of the fire every single year. We have a lot of clients in LA though. We have a decently robust entertainment practice. Making feature films, LA and here. So a lot of our clients, friends were impacted by the fires.
And how often you go back to the States?
Just as needed.
Okay.
But I try not to.
Yeah.
Love spending time with my son.
Yeah.
I have a good law firm partner over there in the States with staff. So last time I came back was 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. But we also have a Bangkok office and a Singapore office. So I try to just manage and maintain the office here in Southeast Asia. And then we plan to open up Dubai.
Yeah, so talk about your expansion plans. Like you want to go to Middle East, Europe. Can you talk about the expansion plans you have for your company?
Sure. So Middle East, so I went to Dubai a few times already. We're currently providing services like entity setup in free enterprise zones, also helping with M&A work out there. So we're finalizing with the law firm we want to partner with, but also Vietnamese buying real estate. Dubai has a great real estate market as well. So we try to open an office every 3 to 4 years. So like the U.S. office was 2009 when it first started. And in 2013, we opened Vietnam. 2016 was Thailand. 2019 was Singapore. And then we were supposed to open Dubai last year, but we're holding off till this year, 2025. So we'll open up Dubai. The market opportunities are great over there. Dubai has blockchain, crypto, AI advancements. Two is foreign investors have great tax incentives in Dubai. So up to 100,000 of personal income is 0% taxable. And above 100,000, it's only 5 to 9%. So your maximum payment of taxes is 9%, which is lower than Singapore. Singapore is already 10%.
Have you ever had a close office?
We haven't opened enough. We had an affiliate partnership in Cambodia, and then the partner decided they're gonna move into government. But they actually came back and wanted to say, should we reopen the office?
Okay.
It had been one of my law students, but now he's a government official, so he can't open a law firm.
Yeah.
But he might still have somebody else run it.
Now, from what I'm hearing, it seems like a lot of business in Vietnam are actually, can't think of term, but they're actually like headquartered in Singapore. Is that a reason for that, or is that good business, or?
Well, the multinational corporations, their main headquarters are Singapore. One is the banking laws, the securities laws, and the safety of your investments is better protected under Singaporean law. Two, it's a hub to go to all of Southeast Asia. But now companies are going directly into Vietnam or directly into these markets because their operations are more targeted and it's big enough for them to go directly. But let's say any Vietnamese startup company that wants to raise monies, they open in Vietnam, but they're forced to open a Singapore office because the foreign investor is only comfortable investing into Singapore deployed in Vietnam due to protections. Vietnam securities laws are not robust. Obviously, we've proven by the Miss Trương My Lang and many of these scams, it's not robust, nor is it fully protective of the investor. So therefore, even the big funds, Dragon Capital, Vina Capital, they're all set up in Singapore and they have offices in Vietnam because investors feel more comfortable when you have a robust securities laws to protect your investors.
Yeah.
Can
you talk about your latest venture, a Mosaic cocktail bar? Can you talk about that?
Sure. So, I mean, I've always wanted to open a coffee shop, and then I had a bar, but separately. So we decided that with a very good partner, operations, want to build 2 in 1. So it's 2 floors. It's not very big. It's 80 square meter each. And the mosaic is really inspired by Salvador Dali, whereby you put a lot of pieces of glass together to make a masterpiece. So we try to achieve mixology, is putting different ingredients that may not fit, but to put it together to turn into a masterpiece cocktail. So that's our main focus, is the mixology side. But of course, I had before a cigar whiskey lounge, whereby partners can come, business people, even government, or more high-level meetings that you need privacy and good service. So that's the top floor of the Mosaic Bar and Lounge. We've only been operational for about 2 months now, and we're regrouping, making sure that after the holidays, it will, with different programming, we've got some exciting programming going. But you've been here in Ho Chi Minh City. It's a competitive nightlife scene.
Yeah, it's not for the weak but minded, so to speak, or the weak of heart, right? You gotta be heavy A game every time.
Yeah, from your drinks have to be on point, your service, your marketing to get them to come. There's so many options.
Location,
Location's got to be convenient. So really putting it all together. But I mean, I love competition. I thrive on competition. I have a great partner, operator, who has about 35 years of experience running different bars and nightlife businesses. So I really trust him. And for me, from my investment standpoint, is I don't invest in people with money. I invest in people with experience, knowledge, and skills, because I don't have those. Right. I add in a few of the knowledge base that I do have, which is legal, finance, and maybe some government relations.
And how's your Thursday networking events going for you?
It's been good. It's been good. We average about 25 to 35 people. In fact, Thursday is our final one for this year. Annie and I have done it for about 18 months now. We're going to hit the 2-year mark in May. Yeah, every single week. So it'll be episode number 100 of professional networking. We hope it's valuable to the people who come, just because it's small, intimate, structured. where it's different than organic or open networking, and that they come and we have many repeat folks.
Yeah, definitely. So what's some of your favorite bourbons or whiskeys to drink?
Sure. So I mean, if you look at the, I'm a single malt guy. I don't do blended. Just feel the favor. I like the oak, the barrel flavor. So single malts. My current, I wouldn't say that it's a favorite necessarily. I'm a cigar whiskey pairing kind of guy. So when I have a good cigar that I enjoy, I try to find the whiskey that will match my cigar. So right now, my go-to combination, and I created a drink out of it just because I love it so much. We have a drink, signature drink called the Savory Siren. It is a bullet bourbon, and we extract the Wagyu fat, and then we marinate it. So then we pour in the whiskey and we let it marinate. Then it creates a smell of the Wagyu steak before you actually drink it.
Wow.
So the goal is, I mean, it has a smoky smell to it as well. And then, of course, when you taste it, it's very smoky. So the goal is that you put it to your nose and you smell the steak before you drink it. And then we put in a piece of beef jerky on top, just so you can get the full feel. And that goes well with a Monte Cristo 2.
Okay.
Or a Talisman, Cohiba Talisman, limited edition.
But that's like, how long did it take y'all to experiment with this? Like, I'm sure this didn't come to this the first time. Like, how many experimentation or steps do you go through to finally get this like perfect combination?
So fortunately, it was one of our head bartenders. He's worked at 3 or 4 different bars before. So when he came to our bar, we had the cigar. My partner Enzo and I just sat down and said, we want something steak, because steak, wine, or whiskey, steaks and cigars go together. Because why don't I just kind of combine it together, right? And then I go, okay, so I like Wagyu. So he goes to the different shops and asks for the Wagyu steak fat. And then he knows the whole process. So we tasted it. We, I wouldn't say maybe perfected it, or different iterations, about 5, 7 iterations of it, to make sure we can smell the steak, taste the whiskey, and then enjoy the cigar all together. So it took probably about 4 weeks.
Okay.
Just because the head bartender, Alex, he loves signatures, he loves fusions, he loves making new drinks. So we have about 21 signature cocktails.
Nice.
And he makes ice cream.
Oh,
so we have a bún bò Huế ice cream, right, where you can taste the flavor of just like bún bò Huế. Yeah, the Huế noodles.
So next, talk about so regardless of your stage in your career, like your CEO, entry level worker, college student, talk about the importance of networking to improve yourself both personally and professionally.
So I always believe that networking is one of the most valuable skills you need to have, but it's also something you always need to practice. So I created a full course on how to build and maintain effective relationships. Because your next job is probably going to be who you know, and then how well you know them. So first it will be the what I call the VCP model: visibility, then credibility, then you hit profitability. So first, if you're starting out, I would say 22-year-old new in your career, make yourself visible. Be anywhere, everywhere, all the time, right? Then you build a wide net of network that is suitable for your work first, but also maybe your personal life. From there, start creating credibility with them. Go deeper with a few of the relationships, such as your supervisor or a committee into a chamber of commerce. And then finally, you have your niche and your skill sets, you have your network, and you will be profitable from it. And I have to admit, networks in Vietnam, you can make more money from having networks in Vietnam than you do in the United States due to guangxi, or relationships. More powerful in Asian countries because of the way they do business than I would say in developed countries.
Do you have any mentors?
Yes, I do. I do have, I would say three main mentors that I always go to guide me through my personal life, my professional life, As a matter of fact, I just met one of them earlier before this meeting for about 2 hours. Yeah, and then I was told, you have to be a mentor to find mentors.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah,
always
that's
believe.
the next question. Like, who are you? The more important part of the question, like, who are you mentoring?
So I guess growing up, I didn't have as much mentors in the Vietnamese community in Orange County. But once I got to the level that I've achieved some success, I mentor, for example, I'm a UCLA C-Clear, which are Southeast Asian subgroups at UCLA. I mentor from afar. I founded the UCLA alumni network here in Vietnam. So we do a Bruin send-off to the students who go to the US to study. So we kind of mentor those groups as well. In essence, I'm a mentor to my staff who are younger, under 35 years old, in developing their careers, assisting them. I'm still friends with many of them now. Some are just really young, right? I mean, 22 years old that are just out of university. And we have some interns who are 21 or 20 years old as well. So mentoring them. So I feel and then I also teach at some of the law schools and universities. So in essence, I feel my life is, and then of course, mentoring my son. So my whole life is considered a mentorship, or at least I try my best to help others to get to where they want to be. I have a few others who I've taken on under my wing as well as mentees. And one of my big life goals that my wife and I implemented is to create 500 jobs by the time I'm 50 years old. 43 now. We have roughly about 50 to 70 people globally on our payroll. So if I can duplicate that 10 times, I will be able to hit 500 by the time I'm 50. So I think that part of it is the mentorship as well, is how you mentor this employee to the next level in their life by upskilling, by helping them maybe buy a motorbike or a car, and then get married. Right? If they're a guy, got to be able to afford a wife and dowry and all that good stuff. And then if they can afford a house. So I think part of that is mentorship as well, more like indirect mentorship, because they're adding to my economic needs. But I think it's one big, my life now and my vision and my goals is one big mentorship to create jobs globally with a big chunk here in Vietnam.
So let's go back in time. We'll say 15 years ago, right? Like the person 15 years ago, would he be happy where you're at right now? Like, are you happy with your life right now? Are you like satisfied? Of course, you're always like impatient with more stuff, like you want to have goals, but relatively speaking, are you like kind of satisfied to have like where you're at right now, professionally and personally?
So I would say yes. I'm in a very good state in my life, both personally and professionally. But of course, I went through like these big three events that were tough, mentally, physically, economically, financially. So I'm at a state in my life, especially having a child over 40, or me being over 40 later.
I couldn't imagine having a kid over 40.
Yeah. So it's later than what people would normally have kids, but I feel so blessed because I don't need to trade time for money, right? If definitely when I was in my 30s, I was opening the firm, gain weight, I was trying to hustle, making money, go to this event, go to that event, taking all these opportunities. But having a son after 40, I can say that I even changed my work hours. I tell my staff too, don't give me anything on a Friday. Don't give me any work to check at 5:30 because I'm not going to do it. 1 hour of me being a lawyer. And so I make about $350 an hour. That's what I charge. It's still not worth it for me to spend one more hour with my son. So fortunately, I have that luxury. I think that's a blessing. And also with my wife, if she says, hey, I'm a little bit tired. Can we take a break? Can we go on vacation? I can say, I will either stop or I will organize it so that I can manage it from afar, right? So in that stage, I say, looking back 15 years, all the trials and tribulations, I'm in a very, very happy, blessed state in my life right now because I have choice to be with my family over going to make money.
Great. Right. So a two-part question, right? Like, so let's suppose there's someone in Vietnam that's never been in America. what would you tell the person about life in America? And someone American living in Vietnam, what would you tell them about Vietnam?
Sure. I would say I would first start off with what is the social economic status in Vietnam. If you don't have too many opportunities thus far in Vietnam, then go into America making, you know, 25 bucks an hour is amazing, because that's chances of you making 25 bucks an hour here is very low. You should go to America, work hard, and then maybe transfer money back for your family. You have a chance to change your whole family's future just by one person. But if you are a working class person, middle class person here, you have many opportunities to make a future for you in Vietnam. It's a choice of, do I begin over in America as a middle age, you know, in their 30s, or do I continue to grind and move up and opportunities in Vietnam? If you are an upper middle class or in the upper class of Vietnam, I say definitely America is not the place for you, because you got to go grind, you got to go learn a new language. No one's going to hire you because you don't speak English. You're like that 16-year-old speaks English better than you, understands the culture. They won't hire you. So if you already have money, it makes more sense just to invest in the US, but stay here in Vietnam. So those are the three classes of people that I would, and I do advise them on immigration programs, you know, pretty much on a daily basis. On the opposite side is, I encourage anybody of any age to try your luck in Vietnam. Right? If you're in a corporate job that is not making as much money as you want, or you don't have any savings, just because you spend it all on taxes or insurance or your daily living in inflation. If you're making 5,000 over there and you're barely making ends meet, find a job here. You might be able to make 5,000, but you have a better lifestyle for sure. Take that chance.
Yeah, and it's so, I hate to use the word so cheap, but like for me, I can wake up in the morning, I go around the corner, I get a freshly made water or fruit juice and a coffee like 38,000 VND.
Right.
One sandwich for 25,000, a big plate of rice and chicken for 50,000. Is like you can literally live off close to nothing here.
Correct. Yeah. Right. I mean, I've tried it as well. I've lived on $10 a day, 300 bucks.
It's easily to do.
Yeah. Right. And then you realize you don't need that big portions like in America.
No.
Right. And then they're not even as fresh. Right. We have fresh vegetables.
It's so fresh
here.
The difference is amazing. Like, yeah.
Right. So I say, if you're a corporate person or you're working for a company, try your luck in Vietnam, especially if you're less than 30, there's nothing to lose. You come here, you can work for a company, you can do a startup, you can follow your passions, start your own YouTube channel or your digital nomad lifestyle. There's many ways to try something you haven't tried before. If you have money in the United States and you have assets, you can still actually move your family here as well. And I advise a lot of folks that said, okay, we build assets, we have a house, we make 100,000 a year, but we really aren't saving as much as we want, and we're not giving our kids that full lifestyle. Try Vietnam.
Yeah, someone did a post on LinkedIn a few days ago. He's a software developer talking about how he makes like this amount of money, but after rent, tax, blah, 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 he's like, I'm actually losing money each month. Like, what's wrong here, right?
Yeah, right. Everything costs so much because we're overprotected, we're over insurance, we're over litigated in the United States. And then you say, okay, what if you're a rich person already? What if you're a millionaire in the United States? Would Vietnam be a good place for you to go? Right? I mean, if say you're not really an angel investor or a venture capitalist in the States, you can come in and open up your own fund for $100,000.
Man, I've met so many great startups here that's doing amazing things.
Right.
It's crazy, all the stuff going on here.
Right? You can take a chance. You can invest into people. You can get betas. You can get all these employees or programmers to work for you as well. Yeah. And then outsourcing digital technology, editing.
Yeah, I think in the States, the average seller for software developers like 135, 145, depending where you're at. Here's like maybe 20,000. I mean, just a vast difference, right?
Right. But then the quality is getting there. Right? You can't jeopardize quality.
Yeah.
Right. But if you can get the quality for half the price, your tolerance level is much higher, which is what I hear a lot about engineers here, programmers, digital marketing is very strong.
Yeah. I mean, if it's $150,000 for A quality in the States, but you can get B quality for 20,000. I don't know. I think you have to take the B quality.
you can take that risk.
Yeah.
Or you take 2 to 3 B quality to train them up to have one become A quality, and it's still worth it.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Next, let's talk about your YouTube channel, right? Like, talk about why you started it, what's the focus on it, and how you're so successful. Like, do you have 100,000 subscribers now? Talk about all that, please.
Great. So, I mean, it was definitely, it started in 2016. Back then, we didn't really know what YouTube was or how it works for a law firm. I've been an attorney since 2009. We opened the office in Vietnam in 2013. And it was my CMO, William Dos Santos, who we co-founded Duong Global together. He's like, hey, you know, you've seen a lot of videos, you can share knowledge. And we got really tired of waiting for people to invite me to go speak. So we're like, why don't we see other people do it? Why don't we start up a YouTube channel?
I mean, that's how I found you, your YouTube channel.
Yeah. Right. So thank you.
Yeah.
And how do we share information that we want to share without waiting for somebody to go invite me to speak? And the speak, I mean, I speak in hindsight is very easy because now it's very natural. But back then in 2016, not too many law firms had YouTube channels, right? It's mostly entertainment. I remember Wong Fu Productions or Mr. Beast wasn't even available then until 2017. So a lot of the content we wanted to get out, and of course, we don't know production value. I shot it myself. If you look at some of our videos back then, pretty funny. But then the production value increased. And I swear in the last 10 years, I was going to give up probably 100 times. Every year I told our CMO, I was like, hey, man, where are we going with this? Well, what's going on? Or you're making me do all this other stuff. But he's like, trust me, trust the process, bro. Trust the process. So went from 30-second videos to fast forward, but we were consistent. One video a week.
Yeah.
Like one video.
I'm sure you always got a little bit better each video, learn something new each video, like do this better, do that better.
Yep. And then when we were able to build a team around it with an editor, with a videographer, and then it was smooth. We had a good SOP in place. And then now we have different staff as well. So it wasn't disconnected because we related to the staff. The CMO did an amazing job. This year was really our breakout year. And we had a breakout video. Like one of our videos was the 9 things that are illegal in the U.S., but not in Vietnam. It did 2.7 million views and had 28,000 subscribers, which is 1/5 of all of our subscribers.
And you never know what video is gonna like hit it for you, or just if you have no clue at all.
Yeah. So we thought we had this one other video about China, talking about the U.S.-China trade war, and we were promoting our manufacturing. It was going up. It was like 800,000. Like, oh, this is gonna be that 1 million video, man. We were pushing, and then it came out at 912,000. It never hit the million.
Yeah.
So we were always trying to recreate that. I think that was about a year ago. And they were like, all right, how do you do it? But just keep on grinding. Now our videos are 15 to 20 minutes long. We try to get substantial, in-depth analysis.
Yeah, they're packed with so much useful information. Like there's no fluff in your videos, right? There's like bam, bam, bam. That's like, yeah, very useful information.
And we try to break it down to simplify it. We also try to get to the point. We're not trying to do, get people to stay on for long, like some of those videos where you have to wait until the ending. No, we give it to you. We tell you at the beginning.
I hate those videos.
Yeah, and I mean, I watch them and like, okay, what's going to happen? But I mean, my CMO, he's a double master's degree in IMC and also international business. He great mind. And we've been sticking through it for the 10 years. We have 500 videos or something.
And so how's the ROI work for you? Like, can you prove like, like a video has like, I'll make these thumbs up. A video like had 100,000 subscribers. A video has like 500,000 views. You get one customer from it or like one engagement.
So we do. So there's the YouTube studio. Once you monetize or we achieved about 4 years ago, then you actually have all the statistics of how many subscribers from the video, how many people are engaged, how long do they watch. And we've been implementing about the last 7 years. Where did people find us? And YouTube is accounting for about 40% of our leads for foreign direct investment into Vietnam.
So this time is definitely like paying off for you big time, right?
Yes,
it's like very good use of your time.
Correct.
Okay.
But a lot of times I challenged it a lot because I spend 3 hours. And of course the team and all their hours spent on it.
And so the video, I'm pretty sure you just go like do the 20 video in one take. You have to like take retakes and like fuck, I fucked that word up. Let me do it again, you know, or like you saying like a big truck goes by, makes a lot of noise, a lot of retakes.
Because we take it to the streets.
Yeah.
I mean, ours is not in a nice air-conditioned studio. We take it to the streets. I don't have a teleprompter, right? I pretty much put a piece of paper and I read it, and then I put it in. I memorize the lines, and then I have to read it. So I'm not a verbatim guy. I try as much to stay on script for the team, but I try to be as natural as possible. Now it's eight pages of script, 15 to 20 minutes. So yeah, I shoot about 3 hours. Every single week.
That might be a good video for you to do. Like if you like do a video like all the outtakes, all the mess ups and stuff, you know, like some people do like the blooper reel, so to speak, you know. That might be good to do.
Oh, we have a ton of those. Ton of bloopers, I think, every time. And depends on the mental state as well. If I'm on point and I'm ready, then I will be able to do it a little bit faster. I can do mannerisms. I can do nonverbal communication. I can hit the punchlines. I can change up my tones. But days that I'm tired, I just speak. I'm like, all right, let me get through this video.
How do you come up with the themes or topics for your video? Something you have like a list of 50 topics you want to talk about in the future, or does that you kind of someone comes to wing it for you? How's that work?
So our CMO has a marketing team of 3 people to do the research. He's really good at the SEO, looking at the topics, the trending topics, and then I think we already have a formula of what the structure should be for the videos. So he really does, him and the team does research, they write the script, and then I'm just the actor reading the script itself. Fortunately or unfortunately, I get all the credit and all the downsides and the bad comments.
It's the face,
but yeah, pretty much they spend a week setting everything up. They have about 4 weeks of lead time for videos and topics. And then, of course, they'll come to me or the legal team to say, hey, we're researching this topic. Can the legal team give us assistance? Or they'll ask me, like today, our CMO, he said, what do you think about the traffic laws? And it's the new traffic law and what its negative impact.
I heard those just changed,
Like, is that worth the video? And I was like, hell yeah. It's horrible. It's like Armageddon. People change their driving styles. Traffic is horrible. Takes so much longer to get everywhere. And I even said, my driver, even he's changed. Like, he doesn't even try to run any red lights. He stops at like green with 3 seconds left. So you're losing a lot of time. And I read an article about the mathematical statistics of right turns. Now with the new law, people don't make right turns. You're doing 12 rounds. That's 12 minutes that people are losing at every single intersection.
So how y'all deal with negative comments on your YouTube videos? Do you just ignore them, or do you make comments against them, or how do you work with that?
So there was the evolution of the comments when we first started and when we got a little bit popular, where a lot more comments. I used to get offended, and I used to they would get that crooked ass tooth guy, that bald guy, look at his nose hair, like everything. I'm like, damn, you guys are mean. I was like, oh, his English is not good. And then they say, or his English is good and everything. So at the beginning, I read them because there were few. Now they're just way too much, and we have all these platforms. So the team actually reads them. So I stopped reading the comments, except for one recently. I know you watched the video. I said, why I'm worth $350 an hour and you need to consult with me. So we made that video. And then I was just chilling. My mom's in California. She called me up, and she doesn't read English. Like, somehow she AI translated the comments from English to Vietnamese. And she called me up. She goes, are you okay? I go, yeah, I'm just here having breakfast. She goes, well, why are all these people online saying you're cheap, you're a fraud, you're charging too much money? You can buy like 50 cơm tấm for the price you're charging in Vietnam. Like, why are they talking shit on you and all this stuff? I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, yeah, there's this video that on YouTube. So and then I go, how many comments? And then she goes, 400 comments, right? And probably half of them are bashing me. So I had to go in and look. And I read all the comments. I was like, yeah, this sounds pretty bad. But that's the reason why I had to make the video. Because people don't value why I charge $350 an hour.
Yeah. And my thing too is like my experience, the people make negative comments always something like maybe 2 or 3 followers. It's like username 12456,
Yeah.
it's never like Jason Cabinets with
Yeah.
10,000 followers. And it's
Yeah.
always like these, I hate to say no lies, but like no lies, but like people in the mom's basement, so to speak, right?
Correct.
Like me and you would never make a comment like that on a YouTube video, right?
Yeah. I mean, we respect the
And
art and the work.
yeah, you have to keep it in mind. You have to keep in mind like where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But it's hard to do. I ain't gonna lie. I'm the same way. Like, I just want to do research and go to the person's house, punch them in the face, choke the shit out of them. How dare you say that about me?
Correct. And then you get the thick skin after a while.
Yeah.
We actually did a segment called Mean Comments from YouTube. We did it last year and it did really well. So I would read the mean comments. It's like Jimmy Kimmel's mean tweets of celebrities. We did that and people really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So they would make mean comments and then
it makes you seem human, right?
Yeah, but then I get to bash them back.
Yes.
Right? I get to make my comments about, like one said, hey, well, your English is so good. Well, and then I said, well, I am the top 1%. I have a doctorate degree in the United States. I'm a trained lawyer.
Yeah.
I think I'm more educated than you since I'm the top 1%. So I get to say things like that. It makes you feel good too. You get to like look back at them. And now they want another video of that. So I feel good but there's no time to really bash or go to their level. It's not necessary. Somebody told me just to hide their comments.
Yeah.
Like that negative energy, hide all the comments and it'll be positive. One guy just recently posted on our Facebook saying, why are you disseminating fraudulent information when we do China videos? A lot of like the China, even South China Morning Post commented.
Yeah. There's something I can't remember what it's called, but it's like it's a human nature. Like for there's 10 things said about you, not a really positive, right? One's a negative. For some reason, as humans, we focus on the negative, one negative versus focusing on another not positive, right? There's a term for I can't think of what term it is, right? It's our human nature, like focus on the negative instead of all the great things people say about us. That's the one little comment.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you're at the stage in your career, in your life, you just don't give a fuck.
No.
The least fucks you give, the more happy you are.
Yeah.
So you're like,
I just learned that way earlier in life,
Right? I mean, some people take longer. I don't think I actually learned until about 35.
Yeah. But the same way,
getting that level of, and then now over 40, I just don't give a fuck.
So how do y'all get your clients? How do you you say your marketing team, but like I'm sure like everyone can't use. You have a certain demographic. You go after like a ICP. Like how do you obtain those clients?
Sure. I mean, so like I said, for our what I called our lower entry point or cost services, anything less than $2,000, marketing does a pretty good job of identifying, reaching out, and getting those potential clients to reach out to us. So marketing does the sales. But for the bigger ticket items that need more complex advice and bigger ticket items, such as we do immigration to other countries. So anybody wants to invest into the U.S. and become a citizen does $800,000 investment. So we have a kind of a pipeline, a sales pipeline to get them. So there's, for example, EB5 seminars for next year. I'm going to do 12 seminars, one every single month. I'll be speaking on the law side. Then the what's called the developer or regional center will speak about the project itself. So we'll do 15 to 20 people every single month, and our sales team will invite them. They'll come, we'll wine and dine and educate them. Then we have 3 more weeks, and we just continue the pipeline every single week. Hopefully, we should have about a 10% closing ratio of the people who come. So hopefully, every seminar will be 1 to 2 new clients. And 12 times is 12 to 24 clients, which is a very good number because our roughly lifetime value per client is about $100,000, including the immigration benefits, buying homes, setting up companies, and doing their estate. So that's the lifetime value of one particular client.
Nice.
So that would be kind of the sales funnel for EB5.
Okay.
Our inbound services marketing has been doing a great job. For example, the Vietnam passports, I think we've dominated SEO. We've done 35 videos on YouTube. You do a Vietnam passport and we show up. At one time, I think we were 9 out of the first 10 videos, but then we've been pushed under. But pretty much that's $2,000 service. From the video, they'll contact us. We send them a intake form. They fill it out. it goes straight to one of our staff. They'll say you qualify or not. You qualify, we send a proposal with a payment link and an e-sign contract. They're okay. Operation takes care of them, and within 6 months they get a passport. So that one we systemize, right? Anything under $2,000, I just do a system, less human interaction, and then the big ticket items, the sales team going through the sales funnel. Yeah.
So in the United States, President Trump is president again, right? And it would appear, from what I can see and read on the news, that he's going to be very pro-Vietnam, right? How do you think the second President Trump presidency is going to affect Vietnam, either positive or negatively?
Yeah. So great thing is we are president from the first term, which he implemented the U.S.-China trade war, impacted a lot of manufacturing and prices to the U.S. But we also saw influx of factories looking to set up in Vietnam. So our foreign direct investment services, especially for factories, has increased, and it will increase again, just because you can't be hit with a 20% tax in manufacturing. Your profit margin is 7 to 13. So we see that being a strong point. Tourism, I think, is definitely going to pick up for Vietnam as well. The Trump organization already committed to build a $1.5 billion golf resort in Hưng Yên province in the north.
Okay, I remember reading about that, but I know it was 1.5 million, but I didn't know exactly where it's located.
Yeah, so Hưng Yên, which happens to be my wife's hometown, although she only been there once, and it's the current general secretary's hometown. It's only an hour away from Hanoi, and it'll be a mega resort, top golf in the world. So it's $1.5 billion project. From there, people are much more optimistic about bringing in other projects to Vietnam. From an economic standpoint, I think Vietnam will benefit substantially from that relationship. There's also a negative side, just like the first time, President Trump sent back 3,000 Vietnamese deportees who were on the list, who were deportable because they committed a crime before 1995 and they couldn't enter U.S. citizenship. So it sent back 3,000 Vietnamese. This time, there will be probably 3,000 to 5,000 more that will be sent back to Vietnam because the Vietnamese government will accept them. And it'll be true for many other countries as well. Which one did I read this morning? I think it was either Germany or Italy just accepted to receive back their, I'm sorry, India. Yeah, India will receive 10,000 of their illegal immigrants in the United States who cannot become U.S. citizens, and they've accepted to take them back. Okay. So you're going to see a lot of mass deportations as well. That's on the social side. The comprehensive strategic partnership will increase the relationship. Donald Trump and the presidency is all about business. So I can see, and of course the embassy, the U.S. embassy, the new one for $1 billion in Hanoi, it's already being built. So I can see that benefiting Vietnam substantially, especially with manufacturing jobs and opportunities for the Vietnamese people. Yeah.
So here's another question just from ignorance, right? So, you know, America is like Hispanics, Blacks, white people, all these ethnicities. Are there different ethnicities or like tribes in Vietnam? Or is like Vietnamese or Vietnamese no matter where they're at?
Yeah, so it's 95 to 97% are Kinh folks who are Vietnamese. And then there are different tribes that are in Vietnam, but 95% and above are Vietnamese. There's some mix with Chinese, but it's not large enough to be substantial.
And there's like, is there a difference between like North, Central, and South Vietnam as far as like cultures and dialects and the way they like that's grow, I guess?
Yes, I would say there's a very, very big difference. I did in one of my videos to talk about the difference in business culture, social interactions, and also lifestyle between the North, Central, and South. I would say the main big difference is due to the history of the three areas. Mainly in the North is a lot of Chinese influence and political. So their mentality is more power-based. Here in the South at that time, here in Ho Chi Minh and further south, land was super arable, very easy to make a living just off of your land. So therefore the people are more chill, more open, and they spend money a little bit more freely. And then in the central, like Hue and those areas are always hit by storms and natural disasters. So they work really hard. The military groups are from there as well. So they're great savers. They're really hard workers, but they're also extremely frugal and they don't open it up as much to international influence. So in general, I say generalizing the difference between the three, and that impacts the way they dress, the way they spend money, the way they make money, which impacts their culture as well. So I'd say, and also when you do business in Vietnam, you got to break down the three different regions with totally different strategies.
And are you still investing in companies now?
Yes.
And like, how many investments do you have right now?
So I would say we have 6 verticals of investments. Total of about seven companies.
Okay.
Here in Vietnam.
Is there any company you want to highlight and talk about real fast? Like it's like really up and coming, like really like you're like positive about, or like, man, this company's gonna make it for me, so to speak.
Sure. So I think so one of the companies who invested is called Out of Home marketing company. That company, I think, is the future of Vietnam because those billboards that you see on Wing Wei Street or going to the airports, during the time that you've been here and in the last like 3 years, especially after COVID, you see a proliferation of billboards and LED screens. Pretty much everywhere you go, you see a video of an amazing commercial, especially if you go on Lê Lại Street. And now with the metro line opening, Ho Chi Minh is going to go in the direction of Bangkok, where it'll be marketing everywhere in your face all the time, right? So I think that company we just started 3 years ago, and my wife is the CEO. We're focused on advertising space, 3D spaces as well, for and how to reach the audience, being in your face in 7 touch points and always being top of mind. I think that one has a great opportunity. One is to raise a lot of money. 2 is foreign joint ventures, especially with Thai companies coming into the market, and the scalability of it. So only in 3 years, we've been able to lease and open 22 LED screens. We focus on LEDs and not billboards. So LED screens, including going to the airport. So just in 3 years, we have 22. We plan to open 3 to 5 every single year. And then after that, joint venture or raise funds for that company. Because I believe the future in Vietnam is in marketing space. So that's a company I look forward to for the next 3 to 5 years. We have a good plan in place. We have a good growing team for that one.
Can you talk about some of the nonprofit work you do?
Sure. I would say I used to be a much more organized nonprofit work, especially back in the United States. I even carved out our law firm to do nonprofit formation for free. We formed about 14 or so 501c3s, from churches to temples to orphanages, to human trafficking matters. But I have to say, since I've been to Vietnam, it's not as organized because opening up a nonprofit there is very difficult. It's almost discouraged for you to open because the government regulates and there's groups that oversee your nonprofit work. And then also there aren't tax laws that incentivize people to do charitable giving like the United States. So since I've been here, I've just done bits and pieces of charity work with different organizations. One of them I do a lot of work with is it's called My Son Chance in Gò Vấp, where they actually have about 400 kids and disabled individuals that they feed every single day. So we did a lot of work with them. I've taken groups and teams and staff there. I believe in helping the children. It's one of my passions. And then the other one is I work with Viet Nam Capital Foundation on a couple of their events. They have about 5 different verticals or directives. And one of them is to empower girls to become women, to become pillars of society. And that's led by Rad Kivit, the current CEO. And it's under Viet Nam Capital Foundation that's founded by Don Lam as their charity arm. And they've been around for 20-something years. So for me, I do believe in empowering young girls so that they can, be strong women, and how they can add and to be the pillar of their society. So they have a bike program, they have an education program, micro lending, also scholarships, so, and a clean water program as well. So they believe in the health, and they have other programs. They have Heartbeat Vietnam, they have cleft lip surgery as well. So I just work through them. I haven't opened my own nonprofit like I did in the United States. However, with my desire to create jobs um, for the Vietnamese people, I definitely see Duong Global, my firm, and our business to do a foundation in Vietnam, or I'll do it in the U.S. And then my structure, I do for nonprofit in the U.S. and a for-profit in Vietnam that will specifically zero out and not make any profit, but it will be a social enterprise.
So Ken, what's your take on the future of Vietnam? I'm sure you're positive about it. You have a big look at, but what you think the future of Vietnam is going to be?
So after being here for over 10 years, I'm still very optimistic because I think the foundation has been laid in Vietnam to really grow, especially the technology infrastructure is there, right? Just within the last 5 years, right? AI, blockchain, e-commerce, the technology base is there. Two is I think the government really provides infrastructure and the environment and ecosystem for Vietnam to thrive and work internationally. And then finally, the infrastructure, right? The roads, the airports, the shipping, right? We have all the transportation methods improving, which will aid in all areas of business, right? And of course, the young population. So I think the next 10 years, Vietnam will be very poised, definitely to lead Southeast Asia from an economic or GDP standpoint, but also in the innovation due to all the foreign direct investments. And it'll be a very attractive place to live while elevating the people. In the next 10 years, Vietnam will be a middle income GDP country. It's at 3,400 now. In the next 10 years, at least it'll be 6,000, 6 to 8,000, and it'll be a middle income country. And once the tax laws and the tax transparency kicks in, it will automatically go up because people are living much better than 3,400 GDP per capita, because purchasing power parity is actually double that. So you're saying, how are they outputting 3,000, but they're spending 6,000? So something's not accounted for. So once you just turn on the tax switch through digitization, through the new ID with the chip, then it'll be a true reporting of the output and the actual purchasing power of the Vietnamese. So growing middle class. So all these factors that I talked about that I've seen grow in 10 years, I just see it's ready just to take it to the next level for the Vietnamese people, which is a growing middle class of 30, 40 million people will just exponentially grow the country and their lifestyle.
So Ken, is there anything else that I've asked you that I didn't, or anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think you've been an amazing interviewer. Your questions are super smooth, very connected, and also you've done amazing research on my past, but also allowing me to speak about the future. I was able to share my vision, share my path. So I really don't have anything else that that I could share with the audience. I thank you for being an amazing interview.
Thank you. Can you share your social media so people reach out to you?
Sure. So our main one is our YouTube channel. With blessed, we're over 100,000 subscribers. And if I can just give a shout out to my subscribers here, because I know you have a big reach and audience, and maybe your audience that are part of our subscriber base is February 19th. We're going to do a live stream and also subscriber appreciation. For 100,000 subscribers, we're going to throw a party here at Mosaic Bar in Vietnam, but we're going to live stream it, but we're also going to give gifts to anybody who comes in as well. So that's what, little shout out. It's just, if you look up Duong Global, Duong Global Business Consulting Group, Our Facebook, the exact same name. Our TikTok is the same. So if you just look up, so we have TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Okay.
But all of it is, the purpose is to lead back to our YouTube channel.
Yes.
We're going to double down on it. We're going to try to get to 500,000 and then maybe 1 million someday, create the content that is valuable to the audience, and to be able to cross promote, such as your podcast and others.
Yes.
And hopefully I'll be able to podcast like you as well. Definitely respect the smoothness of it. An hour, I don't know how long it's been, but
it's about 4:25. So I know
okay.
you just said you have to get it at 4:30. So
yeah, it's very smooth. So awesome.
Thanks. And last thing, you talk about a lot of great stuff, but can you give us any last minute wisdom on any advice or wisdom, anything you want to talk about?
I would say, been in Vietnam for the last 10 years. I would just say, take the risk and the chance of doing something in Vietnam, such as living here, working here, retiring here. There's a lot of drawbacks. Of course, no law is perfect, but the government and the people and the enterprises are working really hard to get people to come here and try out this country. Take the risk on Vietnam. It's fun. It's exciting. It's relatively inexpensive enough for you to start a business. And if it fails, you can try again. It's not a big deal. If you want to move your family here, the schools are great. And if it doesn't work out, you can go back to your country. But I think now is a great time, because the next 10 years, there'll be a lot of economic growth and opportunities for you to take a risk and a chance on Vietnam right now.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, I think for me, the most successful part of coming was like this plane ticket, right?
Yeah.
Once you get here, it's cheap, right? I was talking to someone last week, though, like, man, in 10 years, we're going to be saying, yeah, I remember when a bill was $1. I remember when the plate of rice was 50,000, you know?
Yeah. But I think the great thing is this, because Vietnam has a certain insular, we were talking about wet markets. We're talking about agriculture and the delivery of the food. I don't think it's going to hit the inflation rates like you would in these developed countries where they're so dependent on the exports.
That's true, yeah.
Right? Vietnam still has that insular, it's still 60% agrarian society, right? Where people depend on your food, and that's why it's so fresh. That's why we can get it for so cheap, because there's enough folks that are still in the industry, still working on it in the agricultural sector. And with agri-tech, they'll still be working in it and still be able to make money. So I think hopefully, I mean, knock on wood, and the predictions, and that it won't have inflationary rates like we see. And if you're in the city and you think it's a little bit high, just go to the countryside.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
You can get just as good of whatever food you enjoy.
Or if you're in District 1, go to District 12.
Just go to 12, right? You don't have to go that far. Or you want to get good seafood, just pop over to Vũng Tàu, Nha Trang, 3,300 kilometers of coastline. You can't overfish the entire coastline. And you can't build hotels in every single coastline. So I hope that the people can still come 10 years later and say, hey, I'll still sell my cơm tăm for 79,000, $3.
Yeah.
Right? And the bánh mì, we can still get it for $2 or $1.
Yeah.
And it'll still be the quality, right? It'll still be the flavor, and the people will still be the same or very similar. But hopefully they have a higher standard of living and lifestyle.
And one thing I learned recently, I don't think most people know, like, I think Vietnam's like the number one or top 2 or 3 producer, like, exporters of coffee, one of the top exporters of rice, you know, like I had no clue.
Yeah. Rice, coffee, what else? Well, textiles, of course, some of these manufacturing goods. Vietnam is horrible at marketing and branding.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you have these big multi-billion-dollar scams that are 6% GDP. How do people trust it? Right. The government needs to work on that.
Yeah.
It takes time, because marketing gets people to come to your country. When they come, it's amazing. But how do you get them to come? To experience, to invest, to live? And that's going to take time. But I think once they have the key to opening up Vietnam's marketing as a country, people would love it.
Yeah, it's great here. Yeah. So Ken, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jason.
Yes.
Like I said, I think you're literally one of the best interviewers I've ever had in my life.
Thanks. That means a lot.
And I hope to mimic my podcast after you. And then hopefully, when I do open up the podcast, I can invite you to come,
Yes.
share your story, learn about you, and also your take on the future of Vietnam as you continue to experience. And maybe you'll be living here too.
Yep, it'd be nice.
Possible.
Yep.
Right.
And to our listeners, thanks for your time as well. Remember to be great every day.